Welcome back to another episode, the Hot Seat Interview. I'm your host, Maggy Martinez, and today we have an incredible guest who is making wave in Georgia's judicial landscape. She is an experienced magistrate judge, community leader, and advocate for fairness and accountability in our courts. Judge Regina Matthews is running for Superior Court in Gwinnett County. Today, we are putting her in the hot seat interview to talk about her journey, her vision for the bench, and what gets her apart in this race. So, let's dive into it.
Hot Noise Radio presents Starbound Studios starring Maggy Martinez and the Hot Seat Interview. Y ahora con ustedes, Maggy Martinez en Caliente.
Welcome, Judge Regina Matthews, to the hot seat interview.
Thank you so much, Maggie. I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Well, Judge, you built a strong reputation in the legal community through your work as a magistrate, court judge, and your years of experience in the court. How have your past roles, such as serving as a magistrate court judge and working in the U.S. District Court, shaped your vision for the Superior Court bench, that one that you're running for now?
Yes. So, I've been fortunate to have a lot of experiences leading me to my tenure on the bench. And I realize not a lot of people have those opportunities. So I'm very fortunate. But those past roles have helped me be a better judge, better prepared. I strongly believe that we have to have judges who have the requisite knowledge and skills when they start on day one. You want to go in front of a judge who you believe is fully equipped and ready to do the job of handling your legal matter. And so, being a staff attorney both in Superior Court in Gwinnett County and at the U.S. District Court really helped me hone in on my complex legal analyzation skills. I also really honed in on my writing skills. I helped write the judge's orders.
Excellent.
And so before I got on the bench, I knew how to do all of that. And then on top of that, managing a courtroom docket. How do you handle these cases? How do you schedule these cases so that people are getting efficient justice also? And so again, I think all of those experiences have really prepared me to do the work on day one.
Well, don't forget to tune in every Thursday, the Hot Seat Interview with Maggy Martinez. And this is the show to bring our candidates so you listen to them and know what they bring to the table. As a matter of fact, it's the only show in Georgia, believe it or not, that brings the candidates in order for you to make your judgment. And then when you get to the polling place, you can make a very informed decision. Also, I wrote a book, just so you know, it's in Amazon, The Secrets of Campaigning, so you think you could run. It's only $25. Buy it for your friends, the ones that are running for office, for you, so you know all the things candidates go through, and also you could buy it for your daughters, because we want to make sure we empower our daughters from day one. So available in Amazon. If you feel it in your heart, you feel it really in your heart, and you want to make a donation to the show, go to starboundpr.com, send your donations, because this helps us to buy the equipment, to keep up with technology, and all the things that you need to bring to a show of this magnitude. Well, Judge, you often mention fairness, respect, and accessibility as guiding principles in your career. How do you plan to put those values into practice as a Superior Court judge?
That's a great question. And I think that our constituents who depend on us to act in a way always that reflects the very best of the judiciary. I think it's extremely important. I'm a huge proponent of making sure those who have entrusted us in this role, that they feel that we value fairness, that we value accessibility of the courts to all. And I think that sort of goes in line with just operating with integrity at all times and making sure that we really are protecting the image of the judiciary. I feel that if, our constituents and our neighbors and our friends, if they don't have confidence in the process, then it's hard for them to really understand where they fit in and, whether or not it truly is a process that respects them. So it's hugely important. Every day it's something that's sort of always at the top of my mind. I'm very intentional about making sure that people feel that I'm fair and that I'm impartial and that I am representing the judiciary in the way that I think that they expect.
Well, one of the things that stands out in your platform is your support to accountability and courts like mental health and veterans treatment program, which is so important when we make a judgment as a judge because you have to take all this into account. What is your plan to expand or make this program stronger if you are elected?
So this is sort of one of the things that sort of pull at my heartstrings, and that's really making sure we are restoring individuals through the court process. And there was a time in our system of jurisprudence in Georgia where we didn't really adhere to this concept of, helping people and treating people. We sort of, felt like we just needed to put people behind bars and that would fix the problem. I think we've learned over the years that we have to really approach justice in a way that's sometimes holistic. And so these accountability courts like Veterans Treatment Court, we have drug court programs, we have mental health court programs. These are all programs that are aimed at one, holding people accountable because there's still that aspect
responsibility.
That's right. You have to be responsible for what brings you to that position in our courts, but also recognizing that in order to reduce recidivism and to stop people from reoffending, we have to look at what brought them there. So people who are struggling with mental illness or with substance abuse disorder, or who may have issues related to housing insecurity or food insecurity that cause them to commit crime, we have to address those issues. And so these courts have been very helpful in reducing recidivism and again in restoring individuals so that they can become productive, and that's what we all want, as part of our justice system. So I've been able to witness this firsthand working with our accountability courts. It's been one of the greatest privileges of my career, being able to really see people where they start and then where they end up once they complete the program successfully, and just what wonderful things they go on to do. It's been amazing to witness.
Where you talk about creating balance between holding people accountable and giving them a path to recovery.
Absolutely.
Can you share an example of when that balance makes a real difference in someone's life?
Yeah. So there have been so many that I've been fortunate to observe.
There's always one, right? It's always one.
So it's hard to pick one, Maggie. It really is, because I've seen particularly young people.
Yes.
I think I've mentioned to you before, I really have a heart and passion for reaching young people. And so what we have noticed is that those people that end up in those accountability courts, they appear to be getting younger and younger, the demographic of people who are struggling with substance abuse disorders or who are getting mental health diagnoses. And when you're young and dealing with those things, it just sort of creates a more difficult situation.
It is,
I think. So anyway, when we have young people that I've been able to witness in a very dark place just come out and be able to go to college or to be able to learn a trade once they get a handle on what brought them into the court system, it's just really, I think, the epitome of what we should be aiming to do. So it really is hard to pick one person. I've seen a lot of individuals graduate out of these programs.
Excellent.
And as I said, particularly the young people that are able to sort of just create a wonderful future after they've, gone through these programs. It's remarkable.
Excellent. Well, this is the second time running for an elected position. That's a big shift from serving on the bench. What has been the biggest surprise or challenge you have faced during this campaign?
So we can be here all day talking about challenges of being a political candidate.
Especially, the funds necessary for the campaign.
Well, that's right. And we're going to talk about that later, right? The funds, raising funds, that's always challenging. And I think that is probably the hardest thing for me to do is to ask people for their hard-earned money, right? Mm-hmm. Particularly right now, I think people are starting to feel the pinch in a lot of ways economically, mm-hmm. but really making sure people know the importance of supporting candidates who are going to represent your best interest. I mean, there's no better way to invest, right, in your future, your kids' future, than by making sure you invest in these campaigns. So fundraising is challenging. I will say, having gone through the process once before, I learned so much the first time. And most of it dealt with, really balancing the demands of my job on the bench every day, because that really never stops.
Never stops.
I'm in the courthouse for a limited time every day, but even outside of the courthouse, I'm thinking about cases, I'm processing. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I'm working on orders, late at night, just so I can get them right. I really want to get it right. And so balancing the demands of work, full-time, job on the bench, managing your family, my boys and my husband and those responsibilities, and then being visible in the community.
That's right.
So it's challenging being a political candidate, but again, having gone through it before, I think I've learned how to navigate, those different demands, and I learned a lot about myself. That's
process. Excellent. I know what it is. I'm a former state representative, and I know what it takes to really go through so much in order to get into office. And believe me, it's more difficult for women to get into office than for men. Well, you serve as a public defender, staff attorney, law clerk, and now as a judge. That's a wide range of experience, Judge. So how does that diversity in your legal career prepare you for the complexity of Supreme Court?
So I think I mentioned this a little bit before. I strongly believe that we have to have judges who are ready on day one. It is a difficult job. It's a demanding job. And there's really no warm-up period. Right?
No warm-up period.
When you're elected to the Superior Court, for example, you're expected on day one to take your caseload, to be able to manage it so that all the cases are heard effectively and efficiently. But you're expected to know the case law. You're expected to know substantively, for example, in Superior Court, how to handle family law matters. You're expected to know how to preside over a jury trial, a criminal or civil. And so there's a lot, I think, that goes into, being a judge, other than just being a judge. I think people believe that maybe it's easy because you get to sit up there and listen to everyone else, and then you just get to make the decision and do whatever you want. But it really is not that simple. And having these different experiences that I've been afforded to have, again, I think puts me in a better place to allow our voters to know that what they're getting on day one is a judge who is currently sitting on the bench, who is handling these cases every day. And I think if you ask people who are frequently in our courts, they will tell you I'm well regarded because they know I'm prepared, that I act with integrity, that I'm knowledgeable when I pick up the file and they start their proceedings. I've already read the file. I've reviewed it. I'm familiar with the case law. And the experiences that I've had over the years of my career really, again, have helped me form all of these skills. It's not something you learn overnight.
That's right.
I've been in the trenches, as a public defender, managing a heavy caseload and advocating for people in court and trying cases before judges.
Well, Judge, we always have the hot question and the hot seat interview. And lately, we hear a lot about the word due process. I don't even know if people know what due process is. Maybe some of you know, some of you, but we hear a lot about this. And how important is the due process, especially in these challenging times?
These are challenging times, and I think there are a lot of issues that people are passionate about because these issues affect their daily lives. And so it's no surprise that people want answers, they want solutions. In our courts, like you said, the term due process is sort of sprinkled around a lot, but really what it means is making sure that we uphold and we adhere to the rights that are afforded to people, to individuals, in this instance, in the justice system, that are afforded by our state and federal constitutions. And those rights are numerous, but really what it boils down to is making sure there is a process that we go through methodically before we can take away someone's rights to do something, whatever that something is. And so I think sometimes what we see is that some of those steps are skipped. And so people get the impression, or the feeling, rightfully so, probably, that they're not being afforded a fair opportunity to have due process, to have the process work and taking the steps that are necessary before someone can just strip away my rights. And so our Constitution, again, both state and federal, are very heavily, what's heavily embedded in those documents are all of these due process rights that we as judges, state judges and federal judges alike, we have a responsibility of ensuring that those processes are followed. Because if not, again, people will lack confidence in the judiciary, and they won't feel like the judiciary is working for them. And that's critical, because we're asking people to vote for us, but many people may feel like, why am I even participating in this process when it doesn't appear that, the system is really working for me?
What's your website?
judgematthews.com.
It's important that you visit her website. You know that we bring the best of the best to the hot seat interview with Maggy Martinez, because we want you to know exactly how she thinks and what she brings to the table, and how all this is going to benefit not only your family but the community. So please visit her website. Well, Judge, beyond the courtroom, you have been very active in the community, which this is so important, to programs like Smile, mentoring, and serving on the local school council. How does the community involvement influence your perspective as a judge?
So I can't imagine being a judge and not sort of having an idea of what's going on in the community. The two go hand in hand, I think, because a lot of what we do in serving the community is understanding what challenges people are facing. And as I talked about a little earlier, understanding the needs of people and understanding where they're coming from. When people come into our courts, we meet them where they are, and all of the things that they might be worried about or dealing with. And so having sort of an inside perspective, I think, makes the judiciary better prepared, and knowing how to deal with all different types of people from different walks of life, from different parts of the community. But, being involved in your community is just a good thing to do anyway. I always tell people, no matter what kind of work you do, knowing what's happening and being part of making your community better is all of our responsibilities. And so, there's a lot of community organizations that I'm involved with. I know you've named a few, but it's something that I prioritize in my household. And we all do our part in giving back and pouring in our community what we want to get from it, right?
That's
we
right.
only benefit if we put in the work and contribute our own talents, gifts, and skills. And but I think it makes me a better judge to have that insight. And I think people also feel more confident, again, in knowing that this judge is not sitting high and looking low, judging me, but really has a sense of people and what people are dealing with, so that she can make a more informed decision. I hope that people feel that way.
Excellent. Well, many courts, superior courts in Georgia, face significant case backlogs. I guess this has something to do a little bit with COVID and the pandemic. And timely justice is critical for everyone. What strategy will you use to keep cases moving while still ensuring fairness?
What a great question. And I think you're right. Years later, we are still, in a lot of ways, feeling the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. But I know, and I've heard from people in the community that there is a concern that cases are taking too long to get resolved. And you'll hear this refrain throughout my remarks that efficient justice is important. You can have a judge that knows the law and does all the things, but if they cannot effectively manage their docket to make sure that people are getting timely justice and timely resolution, that also can impede the confidence that people have in the process. So there are lots of practices you can put into place. And again, I think that comes along with experience on the bench. It comes with, again, having the fortune of being part of a judicial staff prior to taking the bench and really seeing those processes work. But for example, one of the things that we do really well in Gwinnett, I believe, is utilizing judicial assistance orders so that our superior court judges and even our state court judges, juvenile court judges, whatever judge needs extra assistance, can rely on full-time magistrates like myself to fill in and handle a lot of those cases to keep the cases moving. We also utilize senior judges in Gwinnett County who also serve that function of offering judicial assistance so that they can effectively and efficiently hear those cases as well. Because the caseloads are large. As the population grows, so do the number of civil and criminal disputes that we handle grow.
And also so much diversity that you have in Gwinnett County.
Yes, we're very proud of having the diversity that we do. I think it's like 3 in the nation, I'm told. And so, but anyway, having efficient processes in place is hugely important. And because I've been on the bench and because I've been such an integral part of Gwinnett County courts for a long time, I know the processes in place. I know how to make them work. And I'm committed to making sure that efficient justice is the goal.
Well, you have a remarkable journey in the legal system from law school to the bench, Judge. What inspired you to pursue a career in the judiciary, and what kind of legacy do you hope to leave if elected to the Superior Court? And tell citizens why they should vote for you. So please look at the camera and answer that question.
That's a loaded question.
It is a loaded question.
So I think what inspired me to take this journey, really, I've always, as a little girl, I saw myself as like an eyes wide open type of person. And I always saw the best in people. And I always saw the need and the desire to do something to help people. And I think I just realized at a young age what my individual talents were, what I was good at. And I think it just naturally placed me on the path to pursuing a legal career. I didn't have lawyers around me growing up. I really didn't know what it all entailed. Certainly didn't know any judges. And so I never really saw that in my future, but I knew I wanted to do something that was impactful, something that would help people. And then sort of the next part of your question is, I think, why people should vote for me. Was that it? I feel like I'm missing
why people
something.
should vote for you.
All right. So to the people of Gwinnett County, I will say again that ensuring confidence in the judiciary is extremely important to me. It's a privilege, I think, to have the opportunity to serve the community in this way. And that is something that I've always thought about serving as a judge, that it is a privilege. And I think you should vote for me because of some of the things we've discussed today. We deserve judges who are knowledgeable, who have the experience and the practical skills and the practical knowledge, substantive knowledge, to do the job effectively and to do that and being prepared on day one. And that's what you can get and you will get from me as a judge on the Superior Court. But moreover, I'm the judge that believes in fairness. I believe in protecting the integrity of our courts. I believe in accountability. But I also believe in restorative practices that we have in our courts that at our disposal to help people and to really make our communities safe for everyone. There's so much that I value about our system of justice, and I look forward to the opportunity of continuing to serve. I really do view myself as a servant leader, and I work for the people of Gwinnett, and every day I'm committed to making sure that you are confident that the judges you put on the bench are reflective of what you want to see. That they are knowledgeable, that they are fair, that they act with integrity at all times, and that they really do care about people, and they care about the community, and they want to make sure that our courts work. And so I'm that candidate, and I need your support. As Maggie said earlier, we need all the support we can give, but certainly it's so very helpful to have donations. I can't have a successful campaign without the funds. And so whatever you have in your heart to give, if this is something you care about, and everybody should care about the judges that represent us all on the bench, then I ask you to pull out your wallet, go on my website, make that donation. We have over 1 million residents in Gwinnett County, and roughly 250,000 who are registered to vote. That's a lot of people I have to reach.
So imagine just $10. $10.
Just $10 can do a whole lot.
1 million people. We're talking about a lot of money.
A lot of money to reach 1 million people, and every dollar really does help reach voters.
That's right. Well, thank you, Judge Regina Matthews, for coming to the hot seat interview.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure. I always love coming here, and of course, I love being able to share my vision and what I hope to see in the future of Gwinnett County. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. Well, Judge Matthews shared her perspective of what she wants and how she wants to serve with integrity and fairness. Her passion for accountability, courts community engagement, and improving access to justice really shines through. You could tell, like today. We wish you the best of luck on this campaign. And for our viewers, if you want to learn more about Regina Matthews and her platform, be sure to check out the links in the description that we're going to leave down here. And always thank you for tuning in on the Hot Seat with Maggy Martinez. Until next time.